Good morning, good morning, good morning, you lovely lot. It is Monday. I haven't got Rocky today because I've got the dentist to deal with this tooth that I've been struggling with. The boys are off into the bushes. It's been most frustrating. They put a nerve killer in it 3 weeks ago, but it started to hurt again yesterday when I was eating, so I don't think it's killed the nerve. So I'm just hoping the anesthetic this time will do the job. Bonnie's still on a lead just because she has a tendency to bog off and not come back. Go on then, Link, go find him. Where is he? We usually go that way, you see, which is why he's going that way, but we're not today. I might go down there. I'm not doing anything muddy because they're going to my parents while I'm in the dentist, so I don't have to leave them at home. They'll be a lot happier with people. And also they're triggering off the geese at the moment because the geese are in laying season, so the geese end up just being really loud, and particularly loud when the dogs go out there at this point of the year because they start protecting their eggs. Haven't even put any makeup on this morning. I have just come out dressed and done. So houses, we had an appointment to look at apartments for Lee's mum, but she cancelled, and it's because it was in the retirement complex that doesn't allow animals. She could have had Bonnie, but once Bonnie had passed, you can't then get new animals. So she might want a kitten, she said, once Bonnie's not with us anymore. And Bonnie's 10 now, so you know, she might have another 8 years in her, but you don't know. So there's a retirement bungalow that's on the market. It's been on the market a little while. It's empty, so we're having a look at that on Saturday. We'll see what she thinks of it. This particular area is quite aesthetically pleasing. The trees are incredibly straight, and then you've got just the greenery and the paths through. I always find this quite pleasing, and you know, they go all the way up. Obviously they are going to get green soon, but just for walking through, it's got a nice feel about it. Squirrel. Oh, Bonnie's got herself tangled around me. Come on, Bonbons. I just really want that job to be done. I want her moved. Oh, look at the big nests up there. Big crow's nests, rookeries. Yeah, I want her moved now. One thing less on my mind, and it's not really like I have a lot of spare time to be dealing with everybody else's issues, which makes me sound quite selfish, and I appreciate that. But I work a lot. I have very little time for myself, and now I'm trying to squeeze in dealing with another human. It's starting to take its toll a little bit, I think. There's a bench here. Let's have a look at the view from the bench. Now, back in the day, this embankment felt really high as a child. I used to come here and birdwatch with my friend Joanne. I'm sure it was steeper, and I'm sure it's just not that that's how I remember it. And I used to climb in a lot of the trees, and there was the trees along the bottom there. But a lot of this was very chalk. There's a lot of sort of chalkness to it. And I do remember sitting at the top of this little area here with our notebook and our bird book. Even think we had binoculars. And we certainly didn't have any apps to help us identify what we could hear or what we could see. And yeah, we just noted down any birds that we saw. We were doing a bit of twitching. Now there's a lot of litter here from people hanging out and not clearing up. There's a little tiny bird there, some sort of long-tailed tit of some sort. It's not a long-tailed tit, it's not a wagtail. I'm not sure what it is off the top of my head. Anyway, yeah. Who's this in? memory of? Alexander Wright, gunmaker. Okay, gunmakers. I'm pretty certain they were in our village, Wright's gunmakers. There was a gunmakers in our village. I wonder if it's the same one. Let's go back onto the green and have a run around. Not me personally, but them. Because I'm not going down further, it'll just get muddy. Go on, pups, this way, we're not going down there. Now this bit here, there's a lot of bungalows here, and it would be lovely if she could have one of these, but they're just well out of the price range. Bungalows in Tame are hugely sought after and quite pricey, and a lot of them have been modernised. If you see here, look, this has got something. Has it been built right out? Yeah, it's been built right out to the back. There's barely any garden left, I think, on that one. But yeah, they've just been modernised so much that you can't really just get a bulk standard plain bungalow anymore. And they all back onto the nature reserve, and of course the nature reserve is protected, so you know you're not going to get anybody building on it. So that, you know, claims a premium as well, doesn't it? And I'm now heading off into town. I've had a nice cup of tea and a chit chat. I've got to go and get this tooth fixed. Beautiful sky, blue sky. Some time has passed since I last chatted to the camera. I think the last time I spoke to you was probably before I went to the dentist. Sorry, you might have just heard Lee turn the shower on. So the dentist did not go well. Well, I mean, it did and it didn't. This tooth can't be saved, which I suspected. Unfortunately, the injection didn't work again. The nerve killer that they put in 3 weeks ago hasn't really worked. It was less painful than the last time I went, but I'm sorry if you don't like dentists. This is probably not the conversation you want to be hearing, but I could still feel it. And then when he removed a bit of the filling that was covering the nerve, oh good lordy, even though I was all numbed up, I could feel it every time I breathed, swallowed. It was constant until he covered it back over again. So he says it needs to come out. They don't do that. I'd need to go somewhere else. Now before, I think I paid £200 to have the tooth removed at a local dentist that specialises in extractions and that kind of thing. But those of you long-term viewers will know that I don't respond well to having a tooth extracted. Now, I had a wisdom tooth extracted under general anaesthetic when my eldest was a baby, when Brendan was a little tiny tot. So it was probably 21 years ago. But since then, I've not been able to get any teeth taken out under general anaesthetic. So I had a wisdom tooth removed at the hospital, and this was probably about 10 years ago. And I had a really nasty reaction where I went into shock, and they said it was the adrenaline. That's what would have caused it. So then I went last year to have this tooth removed. So those were my wisdom teeth. This was an actual tooth that had a root canal done years and years and years ago, and it just was no longer coping. So they removed it, and they did it with injections and everything else, and the procedure was fine. It was a breeze. It was lovely. I wasn't traumatized, but my body just went into shock after about 5 minutes after the procedure had finished. I just went into shock. Too much info maybe, but felt like my bowels were going to go. Felt like I was going to vomit. My whole body was shaking. Apparently I went completely white and grey. They had to give me glucose. They had to fan me because I was burning up. They had to keep laying me down and like putting my head lower than my feet. And I was a mess for the rest of the day. It completely threw me for the rest of the day. I was shaking. I felt sick. It was awful. So needless to say, I'm a little bit nervous about going and having another extraction that is not general anaesthetic. That's twice now. The wisdom tooth, I went into shock. It clearly wasn't the adrenaline, because the second time they told me we won't use the adrenaline, and I still did it, and it was worse than the first time. So I've been told there's a place in Reading, which is a bit of a trek for me, but if it's going to stop this happening, I will do it. And it's going to cost me about £400. Really not happy about that. But again, if it stops me going into shock, I'm just going to have to do it. I'm just going to have to save up and do it. Anyway, they're going to see me in a couple of weeks. to do all the x-rays and the assessment. It's going to be half term, so I'm going to have to take Harry and Ozzy with me to go and do this, but Emma has said that's fine, don't worry about it. And yeah, I'm going to have to go and have it removed under an anesthetic, which means I then have to have 24 hours without doing anything because it's classed as surgery. You've had an anesthetic, and it means that Lee's going to have to take a day off work to come and take me. But because I have felt everything, the nerve isn't numbing twice now, I just can't. That's another thing to scare me, as well as going into shock about having it done somewhere else. So that wasn't great. Anyway, then I had a phone call. Oh, I had a cup of tea with my mum and dad. That was nice. And we had a chat. They looked after the dogs for me while we did the dentist. Then I picked up Kenzie and we came home. I've cleared out the old goose pen because I still hadn't sorted that out, their old bed area. I've sorted out their actual bed area and put fresh bedding in. That's all sorted, so those jobs are off my list. Dusted all of downstairs. I hoovered downstairs, Kenzie hoovered upstairs, so again that's another job off my list. And then we had a phone call from the garage. They've been trying to get hold of me, but they've been ringing Brendan, and Brendan hadn't been answering the phone because the car was Brendan's and it's now Kenzie's, but they'd still got it under Brendan's name. So they happened to think, well, why don't I just call Pip? They called me and went to said that the car needed picking up. You know, it was ready last week and nobody had managed to get hold of me. And I was like, okay, can you please change the details? In fairness, I had already asked them to change the details when I booked the job in, but somebody obviously forgot. So I have now again given them the correct details, and the car's come back. It does have advisories. It didn't pass its MOT. It had to have anti-roll links, something or others on both sides. All the springs need doing at some point. All of the bushes need doing at some point. It's just because the car's like 19 years old. And it's going to need 2 new tyres at some point. So I've had a chat with Kenzie because obviously this is his car, and once he passes his driving, these may still be things that need to be done. We'll just try and work through them this year though and get various bits done. He said he's going to do the tyres when they need doing because it's the cheapest of them, because obviously he's still at school, but he is going to be finishing school this summer, so then he's going to have a job and he'll be able to take over the car. So we've picked that up, so that's all good. What else do I need to tell you? I think that's everything. I think I've got you up to date. Don't think anything else has happened. But yeah, it's been quite a good day. Like I said, I've got things done. Didn't have the result I wanted from the dentist, but shmee, you know, that happens, doesn't it? So I'm going to sit here now. I'm doing a bit of studying for a couple of projects I'm working on. And, sorry, Leah's sniffing in the bathroom. You can probably hear that. And then, yeah, I'm going to probably drink tea and relax for the rest of the evening. So I'm going to say thank you very much for watching, you lovely lot. And I will see you all in the next video.